All right, Mr. Chair, I'm ready when you are.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Corey Bond. I am chairman of your neighborhood Ward 4 neighborhood NAB. Welcome to the Thursday, February 16th meeting. I have two requests. If you're giving public comment, whether you come here to the podium or stand up, please make sure your voice is loud enough that it can go on the record, because we do need that for the public record. And also, if you could silence your cell phone, or if you have a call and you need to take it, please be respectful and get off. Thank you. Okay. Madam Liaison, would you do roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Mr. Harvey,
Present.
Ms. Kelly,
Present.
Ms. Luck, absent at this time. Mr. White,
Present.
Mr. Simmons, absent at this time. Mr. Briscoe, absent at this time. Mr. Bond
Present.
and Mr. Souther.
Souther. Yes,
Souther,
present.
thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, you have a quorum.
All right. Ms. Eber, would you please lead us in the pledge? Everyone, if you would join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible. Into public comment, and that is 3 minutes. So as I said, if you'd like to come up here, you're more than welcome to, but you feel better standing from your seat, whatever makes you more comfortable.
All right, Mr. Chair, at this time, I have public comment from Donna Klontz,
Thank you.
and your 3 minutes, we will begin.
Okay, I'll stand right here. I used to be a teacher and I'm a retired attorney. So I have a big voice and hopefully y'all can hear me, and so can the microphones. So my name's Donna Klontz. I live in Reno. I live in Northwest Reno, but I'm making the rounds of the CABs and the NABs and other community gatherings to talk about what's going on with our senior community these days. And I've given the NAB group here some materials about some of our senior programs, and there's few more copies of things over here on the table about what's going on. So what I have is some guides, elder services guides that were made by Washoe County, City of Reno, and City of Sparks that give seniors a phone number and a website for where to find quick and easy services that they need, whether it's food or lawyers or medical or transportation or you name it. It's in this form, and it's also online on the City of Reno's website. So Elder Services Guide, and there should be some here at the library, and I see them right over here in the corner. So there's a nice stack of them over there. So if you need information, grab one as you go, if either for yourself or a family member or a friend or a neighbor or someone nearby, because that's the thing that we find is going on a lot, is that we have a lot of services. People don't realize we have so many services out there for our senior population. And they don't know where it is or how to access it, especially the 40% of our folks that are 60 and over who do not do tech at all. They don't have a smartphone, so they rely on seeing a poster or reading about it in something or seeing it on TV or hearing it on the radio. So I wanted to mention Senior Spectrum. Anybody know what that one is? It's a magazine. There's some of them again over here in the rack. It's a monthly magazine. They're free. They're put out at CVS. They're in our grocery stores and places like that in the newspaper boxes. And if you read through a Senior Spectrum magazine, it will give you all kinds of information about what's going on in the senior community right now. It'll give you resources, places to go and things to do. And as a matter of fact, I write a column in it every month as a senior advocate, because I'm out speaking to the community and letting people know what's out there. One of the things that we're doing right now is we're putting on resource fairs. And I've got some of these flyers at our libraries. We've done 2 at Sparks, we've done 2 at Northwest. We're going to do 2 at South Valleys, which is, are these next ones coming up? Anybody's welcome. We'll have about 35 or 40 providers in the room. So that means food bank is there, legal services, social services, the state, the county, the cities, everything you want to know about seniors. And you can talk to a live person and ask questions and get referrals from those folks. So we'll do 2 more in May and June, and they'll be up here in the North Valleys. And I'm not sure yet where. We're talking about maybe here at North Valleys. It'll be in this open space. And so please come if you see it. We will be at Spanish Springs Library for sure. We may pick a venue that's a little more closed, but because we're going to be, really be buzzing. There's a lot going on when we have the resource fair. So that way you can come and learn about what's going on. How much more time do I have?
Time.
Time. Five over, Donna, sorry.
Do public, a little bit of public comment at the end. Thank you all
Sounds good.
very
Thank
much.
you.
And there's more materials from the ARP over there on the page.
Mr. Chair, before we move forward, I want to note that Victoria Luck arrived at 6:05.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, next public comment, we have Vicky Rodriguez.
I'm Vicky Rodriguez and Councilwoman Abert. I voted for you because you promised to be the voice of our community. I wrote a petition against NV Energy for their price gouging. I have almost 600 votes. Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, right.
600 signatures, I'm sorry. I also made a complaint against with PUC against NV Energy. They contacted me this afternoon. They didn't want me to come to this meeting tonight. They wanted to meet with me first. Have no idea why. But I want you to help us. There are, of the 600 signatures, people that have paid triple for their power and their gas. I had an ex-employee of NV Energy text me this afternoon. I have it, but I cannot say her name. And she said we can all go back to meter readers instead of the smart reader meter that they have. There is a flaw in the smart meter. It's not registering the correct amount of usage that we're using. So we need to go back to the analog meters. I want to know what you can do to help everyone around here. I have one gal that got a $620 bill. She has 3 small children and an invalid mother. They threatened to turn her power off. She owes $640. $250 is a deposit. When she asked what that was, they said, it's a miscellaneous charge for your shut off and reconnect that they expect her to pay. Today, she sent me and said that she paid $115, but they said she owes the other $505 March 1st. If she doesn't, you're going to turn her power off. We've got to do something. We do. I'm outraged. Me too. My power bill has tripled our power bill. We just had a new air conditioner, new furnace installed in July. We have all new energy efficient appliances. I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. Yet they said our usage is triple. It doesn't make sense.
Ms. Rodriguez, you're at your time for your
Thank
3
you.
minutes. Thank you for your public comment.
Thank you. All right, up next, we have Jolise Palmer. Jolise Palmer. No. We have last name Patterson. Sorry, I can't read.
Uh-oh. That's me.
Well, my name is Debbie, and
Hi,
I'm gonna
Debbie.
talk a little bit about what Vicky did. What she said. Now, a few months ago, I would say in November, I got my bill and they projected $171 for the month. The month before was only 114. I'm a single person. I live in my home by myself. So I decided I was gonna try to change things. So the thermostat turned off. I unplugged the freezer in the garage, unplugged lampshades that weren't, lamps that weren't being used. I did all that for 2 whole weeks. My kids would come over, Mom, here's $20, please turn the heat on. It was that cold. I wasn't gonna do it. I wanted to find out what my bill was gonna be. Well, guess what it was? Exactly what they projected, $171. So I froze for 2 whole weeks for nothing. It didn't go down $1, not even 50 cents. It was exactly what they said. Something is not right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're both.
Up next, I have Mr. Sullivan, Mark Sullivan.
Yeah, I'm the guy from MD Energy, but I was hoping to speak about the agenda item that I listed on the speaking card.
Yes, we,
But I do get this a lot, but people, not
correct.
the same. I had a $30 bill on a 650 square foot house, $130 last month.
So you'll go more into your presentation, correct?
I'll talk, if people have questions about it, I'm happy to answer any questions that I can, that I know, but I was just planning on doing a presentation.
Perfect,
on
yes.
the Agenda item.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna do one last call for Jolise Hebert Palmer. Nope. Okay.
Is there anyone else in the room who'd like to give public comment who didn't register beforehand?
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, you've got about a minute left.
Okay. Also, I've been in the North Valleys for 18 years. When I moved here, it was open space. It was nice. We only had a few stores, which was okay because we didn't have a lot of houses and a lot of people living here. Well, now guess what? We have tons of warehouses, tons of workers, more people on the highway. I mean, it's ridiculous. We want some shops to go shopping at. We don't want to spend our money in Sparks or downtown, you know. We want our money to go in our community. We need shopping centers, restaurants, not 7-Elevens, not dollar stores. You know, we want to spend money, not dollars. Anyway, I'm done.
Thank you. Is there anyone on Zoom who would like to give public comment at this time? Please raise your hand.
Hold on, here I go again. No, just kidding.
You would like to give, yeah, go ahead.
I'm Vicky's husband, Dave Rodriguez. I just wanted to say that I noticed one thing on these power bills that people were sending us. There were 3 days this year that Cold Springs was without a power at all. 3 days in a row. Of those 3 days, the power went up from the day before 50%. Then it went up another, that same 50% the second day. And it went up the third day, the same 50%. Now, how would it do that? I mean, electricity doesn't fly through the air. It's gotta be, you know, when we're in a power outage. That doesn't make sense. It's gotta be the electronic meters that they've got sitting out there in everybody's meter. And it's, you know, it's not right. We've got to do something about that. Thank you.
Mr. Rodriguez, if you could fill out a form, please, so we can make sure to document it. Thank you.
Oh, by the way, I've been in the electrical business 40 years. Selling.
He knows
it
what he's
like-
talking about.
I know what I'm talking about.
All right, last call for public comment. Anyone on Zoom? Oh, go ahead. State your name, please.
I'm sorry, I walked in late, so I don't know what all has been discussed in the last 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I do want to address several issues.
Sir,
One of them is Shui Waring.
sir, if you will state your name, please, for the record.
Pardon me. Gary Overholt, Ward 4.
Thank you.
Thank you. And Chewy Warehouse is still going 24/7. Okay? They have been cited. I know for a fact. I can look out my backyard and see in 810 feet, trucks going all night long. And The other thing is not necessarily just Chewy, but right now, there are double side dumps running up and down in front of the high school, going to the, the quarry on the backside over here, and I don't know who's running it and operating it right now. But the side dumps are going in loaded and they're coming out empty, but they're going right past the high school. These are double side dumps. These are 109 feet long. Okay, I don't know if you've seen them, but they're kind of hard to miss. Okay, so anyway, needless to say, they're tearing up our roads. And, they're just, I understand they have to move the dirt, but they're coming from South Reno. They're coming from down at Longway, right to the south end of the airport. Okay. That's where they're digging it up, or that's before the January storms. That's where they was coming out, because I followed on a set of these doubles just to see where they're going. Okay, so they're hauling in here. I understand that. Maybe they're trying to reclaim the quarry, can't tell you. The third thing I'd really like to talk about is this right behind here. City Council approved another apartment complex. Okay, right on it's owned by the Rayleigh's Corporation or whoever owns Rayleigh's. It's right back here between Alice Smith and Rayleigh's. It's nice and flat. It was at the city council meeting, and I attended the meeting. That is going in. It's been approved. Okay, that's going to add more congestion in this neighborhood right here.
Yep.
Okay, there's no parks, there's no sidewalks. There's people on the far side of Alice Smith that was contesting it because they can't see the mountains anymore. They had these, what we want to call forever homes, because they bought a house. The specific gentleman even said his wife, he had to adapt the house. Okay, so you're going to put a high density apartment building right behind this building. Okay,
Thank you for your public comments. You've
I'm
reached your-
sorry. Okay, thank you, but that is,
You'll have another opportunity to give public comment at the end of the meeting. And if you fill out a form on the table behind you, we'll make sure to include your comments in the record for today's meeting.
thank you so much for the time.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, one last time, public comment. All right, Mr. Chair, no more public comment at this time.
Okay, I'm gonna bring it back to my dais. Anybody have any questions or comments? Seeing none, okay. Oh, let's see, okay. I'm going to go to item A3. Approval of the agenda, and I would entertain a motion for that.
I so move. Renee Kelly for the record.
All right,
John White, second.
okay, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right. We are on item A4, right?
Correct. Mr. Chair.
Okay. And Tyler, are you gonna do that
This is
or?
actually the council liaison.
Yes.
Oh,
So-
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Miss Megan. I apologize.
I don't have any update.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I'm back at A5 and now.
I have a,
Okay,
correct. Abigail Mayorga, Community Liaison Ward 4 for the record. I do have a couple updates that I want to put out to you. The Northern Nevada Water Planning Commission reached out to us and wanted to let everybody know that they are currently accepting applications for the public at large representative to serve on the Northern Nevada Water Planning Commission. So if you're interested in that, please contact me after or catch me after and I can get you that right information. So they're just looking.
Down just a little bit.
I can, I will. Thank you. To repeat, the Northern Nevada Water Planning Commission is accepting applications for the at-large position. If you're interested or want more information, please feel free to catch me after and I'll get you that information so you can apply. I know the deadline is coming up soon, so please feel free to apply. After that, there's a couple public engagement sessions that are occurring. The Virginia Street Placemaking Study. So what that is a final public engagement session. It's going to be at City Hall, Council Chambers, and via Zoom. Thursday, February 23rd from 5:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. So it's like a presentation and open house. During the session, they will present the design and program recommendations inspired by the research, community surveys, and input from the last public engagement session in November. There will be a survey following the engagement session that will be available on the website for 2 weeks. And then after that, we also have the micromobility pilot project. So what that is that the city and RTC staff will be holding a public meeting to discuss the results of the micromobility pilot project, as well as gather input on the future of micromobility in downtown Reno. Location will be City Hall, Council Chambers, and via Zoom. And that will be Thursday, March 9th, 2023 at 6 p.m. And that's all I have, Mr. Chair.
All right. So with that, I will move to item B1, which is development projects, correct?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
Okay. So that's where we are.
Awesome. So I think we first have, for B1, we have Reno Stead Corridor Joint Plan Master Plan Amendment.
Yes, hi, I'm gonna try to sneak over there.
Perfect.
Is that it? See if it works. Sorry, I'm close to you. Hi, everyone. My name is Grace McAdin. I'm a senior management analyst at the city of Reno. Before I start, I wanted to preface this by saying there's no physical development with this request, nor would it affect any of your zoning. So I don't know if that kind of eases some tension, but I wanted to start off this project by saying that. Yeah. So the Reno Stead Joint Corridor Plan didn't affect all of Ward 4, but it was kind of a significant amount of the North Valleys. Some of you may have got some pink postcards in the mail. We did a neighborhood meeting last Monday. And so this is our second neighborhood meeting to try to just get the word out of what this process is. This was back in the 90s. Washoe County and City of Reno got together with regional planning, which governs Washoe County, City of Reno, and Sparks. And they said, what do we want to see for this North Valleys area? There's county land, there's city land. How do we want to see this grow? So they came up with this Reno Stead Corridor Joint Plan. So since the 90s, we've seen this area grow and develop. And so a lot of those policies that were in place in this joint plan were slowly adopted by either city master plan or county master plan. And so a lot of these became duplicative in nature. And so back in, well, we'll get to that, but this document was really intended to guide that future growth so that eventually these would be adopted with the master plans of both jurisdictions. So since then, in 2019, Truckee Meadows Regional Planning got together with county and City of Reno, and they said, this process is really becoming duplicative. Is it really necessary? So they got rid of the Reno Stead Joint Corridor Plan in their regional plan. And then Washoe County followed the process in 2020. So this is kind of a map with a lot of colors, and I'll go over kind of what each of this means. So these areas that are outlined in red are the affected parcels. It affected about 1,100 parcels, over 1,100 parcels, just under 2,000 acres. And as I said, Washoe County sunset this plan in 2020, and then Truckee Meadows sunset the plan in 2019. So back in the original plan that was created in the 90s, this was kind of the vision that they came up with. They wanted to see, and this is kind of a lot of colors on the map. I'll go over a few of them with you guys. This kind of dark pink area is, they wanted to see some commercial in these areas, some shopping centers and gas stations. You see these dark pink areas are kind of where you already see those types of services in place. They had seen the North Valleys Regional Park kind of already established. So that's that green area. And then these lighter pink areas are probably where some of you live. Those are the more residential nature areas. So this is kind of what we see now on the map with City of Reno. Those gray and white, gray and blue stripes, excuse me, are that Reno Stead corridor. And so we don't see those same colors on the map, but that would trigger us to go look at this plan and see what the corresponding master plan was. That's what we're trying to get rid of, is that gray and blue stripes on this map. And so this is what's proposed. As you can see, it's kind of similar to what was originally intended. You still have, these kind of lighter, these are going to be some, one house for every 5 to 40 acres. So really kind of more, less intense development. And then you have these single family areas here. And then you still have those kind of suburban corridors where you'll see them today. And so it's not changing any zoning. It's not changing any, land use. There's no physical development with this. All that this does is it puts our master plan and it matches either the use or the zone of what's already there.
Where are the streets that intersect?
I'm sorry,
Yeah, looks like you have streets that intersect.
those are all existing.
What are the streets? What areas?
This is the North Valley. So this is
It's just north of here.
North Virginia Street, Lemon, and then Red Rock is up there instead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excuse me, with all this planning, how are they going to accommodate all the traffic?
Do you mind if I get to the end and then I could take
Okay, folks,
I'm sorry.
no,
questions?
that's fine, but also please remember, speak your name for the record when you speak. Thank you.
No, that's okay. I just wanted to finish up really quick. Go ahead. Okay, so I think it's a lot of colors on the map. And as I said, there's no physical development, no new intensification or anything with this plan. It's really just a cleanup at this point. Because this plan doesn't physically exist. Washoe County got rid of it, regional got rid of this, and we're the last to kind of do so. I'm sorry if I'm blocking your view. And so what is this amendment and what is it not? So it's not going to change your zoning. It will not affect your taxes. It's been kind of a common question I've received. It's not going to affect your ability to develop your own property. It does not impact roads or flood zones. And the only thing it will do is it will officially sunset the Reno Stead Corridor Joint Plan. So we can just go to the next slide, is my last slide. So our, okay, sorry. So we had the neighborhood meeting last week. We're here tonight for the Ward 4 Neighborhood Advisory Board meeting. Our next step is the Reno Planning Commission, which will be March 15th. And then we have the Reno City Council tentatively scheduled for March 22nd. So those are kind of our timelines. I'm happy to take some questions and provide any answers that I can.
Okay, thank you, Miss Megan. I'm gonna bring it back to my dais first. Anybody have any questions, comments?
I do. There we go. Can we go back to that kind of like the big shot where, there you go. So we're right there, where the circle is, or the small circle, right there, right, yeah. So kind of going in part with the question that was actually brought up during the open forum. What color are we? It's kind of hard to tell. Is that pink?
Yes, so, and it is kind of hard to tell. If you want, I can give you my card and I can actually just look up your parcel number and let you know what your master plan is. But it looks like you're not affected by this plan as of now.
This particular location?
Correct.
It's steady state, so it's mixed use?
It looks like that. I don't want to verify that, but if you want, I can look up your particular parcel number.
All right, anybody else? Jared? No, sorry. Good, okay. All right, now public comment, and I would also stress, please speak your name for the record. Yes, sir.
Gary Overholt, Ward 4. The blue striped areas to the, yes, all that. That is, where's Golden Valley? I'm trying to see where, there's Lemon. Okay, so there's all of that. What is that expected to become?
So this is not totally unrelated. That would be up to the person who owns that property to come forward with the project. Because this is city initiated, we're not changing anything. So we're just matching the underlying zoning. So we have a base zoning and a master plan. This master plan is just gonna match the zoning that's already there. So we don't know kind of what project will come forward.
Issues I see are, where's the sewer coming from? Where's the water coming from? And where is the community development? Where are the parks? Where are the trails? I don't know what you guys are planning on doing with it. But right now, we're kind of getting shut out.
Yep,
So
yes, we are.
I just want to know, where are we going to get some help? Okay, because of water, right now, we're coming out of Fish Springs in California. If you doubt me, drive out to Bedell Flats, because that's a pipeline that was put in 10 years ago.
Yeah,
Okay, you're pumping water out of the ground, you're taking water from the aquifer, and you're trying to sit there and tell me, oh, we've got plenty of room. No, we don't.
Yeah.
Put some quality stuff in there.
and I did want
All
to
right?
point out this, there's no development proposed with this request, so it would
Oh,
be a
excuse
separate.
me, south of Red Rock.
Okay, Mr. Gary, be respectful, please.
Okay, but I have the right to speak to.
You do, sir, but
South of Red Rock, they've already zoned another commitment to a warehouse with a 55-foot, that's a 5-foot bill, 5-story building, 55-foot cut. They don't even know what's out there, because Stead, when it was a military base, could have taken their and disposed stuff out there. They don't even know if it's out there anymore. Okay, they have no records.
Mr. Gary,
Thank you.
yes, you have the right to speak. I'm just asking you to be polite. That's
I
all.
am, but I was talking to. Thank you.
Any other
Okay.
questions?
Any
Yes.
other questions?
I'm Debbie Pattison, and I'm going to go back to the warehouses. I bought my house because I look out my window and what do I see? Peavine Mountain, beautiful. And I live right by Red Rock, so guess what? Warehouse is gonna go in there, take away my view. More people on the highway, it's ridiculous. It's like we're the bottom of the barrel. Everybody, all these other new homes and sections of Reno, they've got stores, they've got stuff. We don't have nothing but traffic
Yeah,
and warehouses and dollar stores and 7-Elevens.
yeah, and I know that that's been, because we sent out 6,000 notices with this request. But unfortunately, because there's no development, I can't speak to those or answer those questions or concerns. It would be a totally separate process at this point. This one is not going to propose anything.
I
any
have one
development.
more question.
Sure.
How are we gonna be able to stop this and have our Ward 4 people help us do something? We want our voices heard.
So for this particular, I mean, for any request, I would definitely encourage you to reach out to your representatives and come to all of our neighborhood meetings. This particular request, we had a neighborhood meeting last week, and then we have this one. We'll have a planning commission meeting, 2 city council meetings, and a regional. So there's multiple opportunities to.
I don't want to be rude, but earlier after we had our community comments, you asked everybody here in the panel if they had anything to say. Not one person chimed up to say anything. So we're just sitting here in the dark still.
Okay. Debbie, I think that we can talk after the meeting, because
Okay.
we're the community liaisons, so we're here and we're gonna help Councilmember Ebert, so we'll connect with you
Okay,
afterwards
great.
and we'll get your information and we can address some of that. If
That's what I wanted to hear.
Perfect. I'd love to connect with you. If we could keep the comments specific to this item. That way we can keep the agenda rolling. I know we've got all sorts of stuff going on tonight, so
Yes.
I'd appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay, hold on, John, just a minute. Victoria, you said you had,
Yeah, I just have a quick comment, Victoria Luck for the record. We hear what you're saying. We heard what you said at the beginning. But as he just said, these things are on an agenda, and her proposal and what she is here to talk about does not pertain to any development. Nothing is changing. There's no water issues. There's no electrical. There's no warehouses going up with her presentation currently. So the comment is heard, but when we need to stay on agenda. We're here to listen to what she's doing, and all she is doing is just matching what is currently there. She is not changing anything. She is filling a missing piece. The blue is a missing piece. It has no records following it. So this is fixing that so that you guys are recognized in these areas as what is there now, not what is to come. So just, that's my comment to the public for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jared,
No, actually.
okay, go
Yeah,
ahead, John.
John White. Yeah, back in the nineties, I was working on all this stuff. I was on the city advisory board. I was on the Marshall County advisory board and working, spent a lot of time working on this particular master plan to develop it. What most people didn't understand was that the city had a process wherein counties usually don't expand, cities do. And the city was developing a process where they could have I forget the exact terms, and they look at an area, they think they like these lots. So they put that in their sphere of influence, I think it was, and then later on, they bring it into the city. But any lot, it depends on whether the person wants to develop or not. And our board actually only dealt, even now, it's only can deal with special use permits. If somebody meets zoning standards, they're gonna put it in, and everybody sort of got to rubber stamp it because they don't want to do a lawsuit. All they gotta do, I've seen it with the city in the past, city starts to stop a project, and the project developers, if they're big enough, they have more lawyers than the city does, and the project goes through. So we don't have that much choice. We have some voice, but not a final voice, because there's a legal process that they're actually going through
Right,
with these things. But I'm glad that they're taking this out, but they have to replace it with something.
right, yeah. Yeah, and what you were speaking to, annexations, there used to be an annexation program. Now annexations are completely voluntary, so if the property owner would wish to annex in, they can. So, and then you're correct, this board would only see discretionary permits.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, anybody else have comments? Okay, thank you, Miss Megan, for your presentation.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, with that, we are going to move to item B11, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
1, 2. 1, 2.
1, 2, okay.
I stopped printing out.
I know.
Like from this point.
I'm gonna give it to some yourself. Yeah, me too.
Hello. You just let me know which next slide.
Okay, would you prefer me, is it easier if I'm up there versus here?
Whatever's comfortable.
So good evening, Chairwoman and staff members and Councilmember Ebert. My name is Karen Downs. I'm with Manhart Consulting, and I'm here representing this Epic Trailer Storage Project. You'll see here, it's on the north side of North Virginia Street, just east of Stead Boulevard. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
It's almost the same picture on each slide. Okay, the land use designations are, the master plan is industrial. You'll see it's in the area that's surrounded by industrial. The zoning designation is industrial commercial and is also surrounded by it's kind of a mix of industrial, mixed use, I think that's mixed use suburban and industrial commercial. So what this application is and what we're here tonight for is to present a conditional use permit. So there's 3 different items. One is, we'll talk about each of these, but one is this determination of an unlisted use. This use is a little bit different than what's included in code. So we're here tonight to talk about that use. The second is operating between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. And then the third is disturbance of a major drainage way, which runs through the site. All right, next slide. So this is the site plan. It's about a 3-acre parcel. And I'll talk a little, I'm going to start with talking about the use. So it is for an outdoor semi-trailer parking and storage facility. As you'll see, there's no buildings on site.
There won't be any employees. What there is a gated entrance that will allow for trucks to pull in, park, unhook the trailer, and then leave. There's 64 spaces shown here. The intent is, so again, at the beginning, it's called Epic Trailer Storage. So part of it is to support a business, Epic development, and a place for them to have trucks as they're moving in and out, and then also some leasing for truck space for other businesses in the area. So the intent is they'll come in, they'll have an entry code that allows them to use the site. They'll come in with their entry code. They might be there for a day. It might be a couple of days. Well, let's say over the weekend, if they're done on Friday, they're not picking something up until Monday. It's a place to store that trailer. Again, so there's 64 spaces, which will be leased out to specific companies. Excuse me. There's, next we talk, what's up here is the landscaping plan, and you'll see it meets landscape requirements. The requirement in the IC zoning is for 10-foot frontage to be landscaped. We have a 15-foot setback that's landscaped, and then the additional detention areas and kind of that perimeter area around the site. There's proposed to be a 6-foot wall along North Virginia Street. I should add, the entrance is along North Virginia Street, and that's where there'll be a 6-foot wall. And also there's fencing on the sides of the and rear for security. All right, next slide. So the conditional use is, again, this type of use with the outdoor semi-trailer parking is not identified in code, which is why we're here tonight. The spaces are used to park the unhooked trailers with that gated entry that we talked about. There are 2 uses in code that are comparable. One is outdoor storage, which would just be storage of equipment like this, and then also parking lot. This is a little bit different than both of those. Both of those uses are permitted in this industrial commercial zone. I guess it's slightly different, but it meets the requirements of both of those other uses that are permitted. Second, we have parking and access is proposed 24 hours a day so that they can come drop the trailer at any time is what's proposed. Something that is interesting, I'll point out, again, that's typically a conditional use. In the IC zoning designation, there's an exemption for these types of uses: storage, distribution, and warehousing, and manufacturing and processing. They don't require that CUP. This one, because it is different and not on the list, and that determination of unlimited use, that is the reason for that 24 hours a day. All right. I think I talked about it before, but just wanted to add, it is assumed that the average stay will be about 3 to 4 days, is what the owners are expecting. Thirdly, there is a major drainage way that cuts through the site. If you could go back to the site plan for just a minute. So it, no, next, and next, there it is. So it's on the west side of the site. There's an existing drainage way. It's existing. We'll look at some site pictures in a minute, but there's a culvert that goes under North Virginia Street. And then, of course, this parcel is undeveloped. Then it goes to an existing pipe system that goes under the new Amazon facility to the freeway. So what's proposed with this, with the major drainage way, is to point out where it is, but there's a pipe under that parking lot and then outlet to the existing pipe where the drainage, where the existing pipe is in the road. Oh. Okay, so this is a project site where you can see the kind of the existing development. You can see where where the existing major drainage way comes from across North Virginia Street and then exits the site towards the Amazon facility and then under the. So here's just a few pictures that you can see from the site. The first one, we had some snow issues. I forget what the date was when we submitted the application, but it was in the middle of all the snow. So most of these pictures are Google, so you can see what's actually going on. Anyway, so the picture on top is towards where the Amazon building is. Picture on the bottom is looking across or kind of looking south on North Virginia, and you can see the new development across North Virginia where the major drainage way comes down. Next. This is looking across North Virginia also, kind of northwest. This is from the freeway, looking where the Amazon building is now, but you can kind of see where that building you can see that's popping straight up. That's the new building where the major drainage way comes down and is then piped under that site. Next. This is a picture from the freeway with. Boy, I wish I could point instead of explain, but kind of showing where the drainage way comes down and is piped under that Amazon site and it outlets there and goes under the freeway. That's it. Of course, available for any questions that you have.
Okay, thank you very much. Hold on. First of all, I'm gonna bring it back to my dais. Anybody have any questions? Jared?
So Jared Souther for the record, is there someone that could speak to the plan expansion or widening of North Virginia? And then on your project, like a turn lane into your project to allow for flow of traffic on Virginia, because it is very much a pinch point. This morning, there was an accident at Red Rock. Everyone was driving down Virginia Street to get to work in town.
So first about the widening of North Virginia, is that what you're asking? Yes, so the project does allow for the full widening. It has enough right of way to allow for the full widening that's there on site.
But with that, would you have a dedicated turn lane for trucks to merge into your project?
So they have not, RTC has commented on the project and it will move as expected when there's been planned. They have not recommended any sort of turning movement. You know, there was also a trip generation memo completed with the application and reviewed by the traffic engineer that did not recommend any sort of turn lane. With the number of trips that are here, it just doesn't.
Okay. Speaking as a resident of the North Valley, said at Red Rock, I see hundreds of semi-trailers parked on Moya and Echo. And so I feel like this would be an added benefit because it would free up trucks that are being abandoned on roads that shouldn't be there.
That's exactly what.
So thank you for proposing this project.
Okay, anybody else on the dais? Brian?
Yeah, Brian, Harvey for the record. I'm a little confused on that waterway or. Yeah, right. So are you inheriting that? Or, I mean, is it just from pipe to pipe, or are you gonna have to like assume a natural waterway and deal with it?
No, so it's there existing. And I think if I'm understanding what you said, from pipe to pipe. So instead of now there's no development on the site and it flows over the site. It flows from the existing culvert over the site and into the pipe. What is proposed with this then is because it won't flow over this, you can't have it flowing over the site anymore, that it'll be pipes under the site.
So it will go from a pipe or a culvert into your pipe and then to another pipe?
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, anybody else? Victoria?
Victoria Luck for the record. Off of Jared's comment with the trips made and the traffic study that you said was done, is that accounting for all of the additional residential areas that are coming up along that way? So I guess, are you taking into account the amount of growth that is about to happen within the next year or two?
Typically, the traffic studies will look at what's approved or
And I've heard
based on the existing zone.
existing.
No.
So is there anything that you are planning to do with the roads system and offer to add a lane? a turning lane for yourself. You say that it's up to them to come to you if they have an issue with it. But are you gonna make an initiative to seek a lane
So what? it
within the
does-
project?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
They look at what is needed. It's not that they come to you to offer, but they'll say what's needed.
What's needed as of now, I guess my question really comes down, to, are you anticipating the growth? Are you anticipating anything in the future? Because it sounds like you're planning for now, which again, it sounds great because it gets the trailers off the roads that we are concerned, but now you're adding more truck traffic to the road as well.
So both RTC and the trip generation and studies that are, I mean,
That's okay.
one is there's not enough trips associated with this project to generate any sort of study. That those requirements just aren't met with this project because it's the number of trips are so small. When RTC or a traffic engineer looks at a project, they do look at the overall development capacity. So what can happen. This, when it was looked at by RTC and by the traffic engineer, with the number of trips, it doesn't require anything. And I believe RTC looks at, with the lanes, they look at the speed needed. And it just doesn't require it.
Okay. Fair enough. Thank you.
Okay, anybody else on the dais have any questions, comments? Okay, now I'm gonna open it to public comment and please feel free.
Mr. Chair, as a reminder, 3 minutes, please.
Yes,
Mr. Rodriguez.
This development that I see, she's already called me, Mr. Rodriguez. This is directly across from the bar of Virginia Street, as I assume, and Amazon's delivery service warehouse, and I'm talking about those locations.
I don't know if you want to go back to the.
Yes, it is right next to the bar.
I just want to make sure we're saying the same. Maybe the one after that? Oh, before.
Where Stead Boulevard comes straight into
Yeah.
Virginia Street.
Yes. So if you can see so Stead Boulevard is the street that comes into North Virginia. On that.
Okay.
Okay.
That ends there, and then you have that empty lot that's leads up to a trailer park above that. Correct.
Sorry. I'm not that familiar, so I've only driven,
I know what you're
I've only
talking about, yeah,
driven through there, so I'm not that familiar with what you're saying, but it sounds like it is right where it's just east of Stead.
Okay, I assume that the lot is gonna be lighted.
Correct. Lighted and cameras for security as well.
Having for security, maybe better for traffic coming down that road. May cause some problems for the residents living in the nearby area, but that's something you'll have to deal with. Because there are several residents in that area. Yeah, it'll take a lot of traffic off of Moya and the roads down below. As far as driving it, I drive that road every morning, and it's not the safest road in the world at that point because of all the working traffic coming in from Stead and from the opposite direction. And you also have to railroad tracks you got to cross. So I am concerned about the safety of the road itself. It must be widened if you have to allow for those trailers to get off the road and into the.
There is the widening project proposed through RTC.
Right. So, and I'm sure the construction will cause a lot of delays on. Thank you.
okay, anyone else? Mr. John,
Hi, Gary Overall.
or Gary, sorry.
You're not from Ward 4, are you? Okay. That is a goddamn 24/7. I'm dealing with it, okay? You got drivers coming in there and they don't feel like rolling down the landing gear, so they pull out. And that sounds like somebody beating a bass drum, kaboom, all night long. See that little trailer park right next to onsite? They have to deal with that. Okay, I have to deal with stuff up on North Virginia also. Okay, because when they back under it, they're coming into a loaded trailer, and if they don't hit it dead on, and I trained drivers, you can hit it dead on, it goes click, click. When they're ramming into it, it goes kaboom, okay? They miss, all right? Hollow trailers or empty trailers sound like a bass drum, boom, boom, okay? 24/7. 24/7, 64 spaces, and you think you're gonna alleviate the goddamn congestion on Moya? Go take a count, because there is more than 64 trucks. By the way, who is the people you're representing? And who are they wanting to park trailers for? Please tell me.
So the name of the company is Epic Development.
Okay,
They have some of their trailers, and again, they have. lease agreements.
I've seen them on the side, but they're gonna let anybody and everybody. It's just basically a big parking spot. Yeah. 24/7, absolutely not. You rule out 11 to 6, maybe, but I agree with this gentleman right here. You've got parts of North Virginia that have already been curbed and guttered, okay? And there's a 2-lane. And you're out there right now and you're saying, oh, we'll widen it. Well, who's gonna pay for that? These people are,
We don't want it.
and we don't want it. Find something else for that place, okay? I don't care if it stays sagebrush. And as for your drainage, if you looked up here, there's more than 4 feet of snow up on Peavine right now. Major drainage, okay? It just runs across there right now. What happens when you pave it, okay? Please, think about it, people. Really? Do we need more trailers? You got the problem out instead. Why are we bringing it this way? Thank you.
Hey, anyone else?
I just wanted to say, if you're gonna do something like that, then you have to have a left-hand turn lane for those trucks. Because that 2-lane highway, when people do not want to deal with the freeway, the traffic on the freeway, that's the way they go. From Red Rock, they go all the way down Old North Virginia, and they turn right on McCarran, and there you go. You're where you want to be, and it's less headache. You're not dealing with those crazy butt trailers, excuse me. But that's all I wanted to say again, warehouses, too much.
Can you state your name?
Please, I'm sorry.
Mr. Gary, you already gave your 3 minutes.
Debbie Patterson, thank
Please,
you.
I want 3 minutes. You got a school bus
Okay, you have 30 seconds.
depot, not far from that. You got these drivers that have been on the road and they're pulling in and out on a 2-lane highway. You got school buses going, all day. Please. Think of the children, if nothing else. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anyone else?
Gordon. Pat Shane, Ward 4. What I'm wondering is what controls are being put in place and what type of materials can be in these vehicles that are being stored? Can we put propane tanks there? Because there's a limit up here on how many propane trucks you can put in.
I haven't discussed that.
We discussed in the county, not in the city here, but there's a facility that was asking to put in a dynamite storage facility just up the street here. But they put a dynamite truck there because they couldn't get in. I'm just asking, there's all sorts of things on these trucks. And you're bringing them into a confined space. And just what kind of, you didn't talk about controls, except for a access point that has a cipher lock on it. The second question I would ask is how many vehicles can actually be operating on this property at the same time? Am I 3 semis at the same time trying to back into a slot, different slots? Or 4, you're not controlling it, there's nobody there saying, no, you can't come in. What happens when one gets stuck in what I call jackknife? Okay, it's not my problem, it's gonna be the problem of the developer. But where we get into the problem, what Gary is talking about, if your facility gets jammed up and other trucks are coming, where are they gonna stop at? Virginia Street. And they're gonna stop right in the middle of it. They tend to use the middle of the road everywhere to park their trucks. And we see them all through the warehouses doing this, and that's where they're supposed to park. Park Boulevard in the morning before the warehouse areas, see trucks lined up all night long just to get in there. I'm expecting this kind of thing will happen here. I'm just bringing that forward. Seems to me that there's a little bit of planning that hasn't happened. Thank you.
I think I was, so behind you, Carter Williams is the project, City of Reno planner on the project, seems to have some information on hazardous materials.
So the hazardous materials, what part of your question, the city of Reno, and for that matter, the state of Nevada, has controls in place. They have legal requirements that anyone processing, handling, transferring, storing hazardous materials, they have to go through a pretty intensive public hearing process through the planning commission and the city council. And they have to coordinate with state agencies, from the state fire marshal to the Nevada Division of Environmental Protection. It's a very involved process across the state. So they would not be able to do that. And we have some triggers.
I understand that, but it wasn't addressed in the development project.
Because they cannot do it. Sorry, so that is something that's clear from the city's perspective. We cannot do that unless they propose it, and it's not proposed in this case.
That doesn't mean it couldn't happen. That people would park hazardous material on the lot.
It would be illegal to do so.
Okay, okay,
That's what I wondered, why they're.
Okay.
Control.
okay. I
Thank
got
you.
it, I got it. Ms. Meg,
You said there's a rule about that, but is there gonna be any kind of enforcement on that? I mean, if the truck just pulls in the park, who's going to be verifying what's, being stored in sunlight?
So it's controlled generally for the state. So if materials are brought in to the state, we would know about it. Not necessarily the city, but there's state agencies that are in play.
Okay, so
That would-
nobody would be actually monitoring, you want to verify what's parked in there. There's propane tanks or whatever.
I know on the side, there's not proposed to be anybody monitoring. They will have lease agreements in place. So that so again, it's companies, it's not any truck coming in off the street, but it'll be companies that have lease agreements to lease spaces. So that can be part of the lease agreement.
okay, and Brian,
Yeah, Brian Hurley for the record, and this is all really good discussion and there's a lot of passion here. I just want to make sure everyone understands that there's comment forms here lifetime, so with your passion, fill them out, or you can go online and you just put in this number here, I don't know what that number's called.
URL, the link, the URL?
No,
No,
the number.
The reference.
LDC.
Oh, yes, yes.
Yeah, use that number. All of those comments have to go into the proposal. So it's a written record that goes into the proposal, and council or the commission that's reviewing this has to read those. So please fill those out. Make sure you do so.
Correct, yes.
okay. With that said, I'm gonna go to the next item, which is B13, which is Peavine Station, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am, for your presentation also.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for hearing our item tonight. My name is Mark Sullivan. I work with MB Energy. And we're going to present to you Peavine Substation. What we're hoping to get out of this is to get some feedback and to educate you guys about what we're doing, why we're doing it. And a lot of times when I look at neighborhood advisory boards, I heard somebody mention a citizens advisory board for Wacom County. There's a lot of nuances that people have in the neighborhood that we're not aware of because we don't live in this valley. I grew up out in Spanish Springs, so I'm pretty familiar with that. I actually sat in the CAB out there for many years. So that's what we're kind of looking for. If we can make it better somehow, you guys would know how to do that, right? You guys could provide us with some input about nuances that we're probably just not aware of. So hopefully that's what we're going to get tonight is some input from you guys on how we can make our substation even better and be a compliment to the community. So this is If we actually could go to the next slide, I don't know how I tell you, it always sounds rude.
No, it's okay.
So. But anyway, this gives you a little bit of idea of the system out here, and those are our lines. If you look it down at the very bottom far right, that's our Valley Road substation. That substation serves as kind of a hub, fingers going out to a lot of different areas. And that substation, we're predicting by 2024, the summer of 2024 will be overloaded on its nameplate. So they have a nameplate, it's an MPA that they use, the amount of power that can go through it. And it's just, the growth rate that we have right now on that is going to be overloaded in 2024 this summer. If you look up on the top left there, that's Silver Lake sub, it's behind the JCPenney outlet. And actually, if you look down where that line comes down, the blue line on the left-hand side, you see it come down, it says 141 line there. That actually where it intersects that line down at the bottom, it actually says Penny's Tap. That's what it's called, Penny's Tap. So that's when we put that in back when Penny's was built. And I was a kid back then. Well, maybe not a kid, but so that Silver Lake sub is in the same situation. The MBA rating on that is going to be exceeded in summer 2024. So that's how we came up with this solution, which is to put a substation in. There's really only two factors that can impact service to our citizens, and that's one is weather, which we don't have a lot of control over, and the other is reliability, which we do have control over, and we can fix reliability by putting new infrastructure in. Can we go to the next slide, please? When we first, this site here is on North Virginia. And actually, if you want to go back, I mean, I didn't really point out the substation site on that last one, but you can see that substation site there. It's the white box on the left-hand side on the bottom. And so it's on North Virginia and Peavine Peak Spur Road. And I guess that's an old railroad. I know right on the backside of our lot, there's a railroad, which you'll be able to see on the site plan. So that's called Peavine Peak. KG Walters, a construction company immediately across the street. There's another utility facility right next door. It's a water tanker. It's kind of up on the hill. We're going to be lower down. So that's where the site is in the vicinity. Okay, can we go to the next one, please? So this is actually a site plan. This shows you what we're proposing. The lines, actually how it works is right going down the front of North Virginia, there's a line there, and that's the 141 line. That's the one I showed you that was in green. So that, because it goes right adjacent to this site, and we looked at probably 7 or 8 sites out here we actually put offers in, a few of them did some due diligence on them, and they would sell before we could buy them. So, and this has been in the works for, I don't know, probably 18 months, being able to acquire this piece of property. And so the beauty of this one is there's no transmission lines. You have the transmission line that's already existing, so the people that are over there already have the impact of the transmission line. The line comes into the substation, goes back out. And how it works is transmission is, basically you have generation facilities. They send power out through transmission facilities. They go into a substation like this, and then it'll go through a transformer and it'll turn into distribution. And distribution is what comes to your house. It goes to the businesses, it goes to schools, hospitals. That's the service level that they get. So what you'll see is the distribution coming out of this, they're going to be underground feeders. So you won't actually see those. The front side of this, there's a slope to the lot, so we're going to do some balancing on the site. I think it's a relatively minor amount of dirt, whether it's coming in or going out. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it's a small amount because we're balancing it on site. One of the things that you're going to see that's not reflected, you're not going to see that's not reflected on these plans, what we have talked to the city about is retention of water on site. So out here, I mean, you have a little problem with water, with like Silver Lake. So in this case, the ditch that runs in front of this lot here is it drains to Silver Lake. So we're required to retain all the water on site, and we're doing it at a ratio of typically what the code calls for every, say, gallon that we would be required to retain. We're required to retain 1.3. So you already have some sheet flow that comes off of there that's existing on the site today. We're going to capture some of that also and be able to retain it on site. What you see on the green there is the ingress from Virginia Street and egress off that road. There's really not a whole bunch up that road. I'm sure you guys are familiar with it. I think there's some kind of storage yard a little bit farther up. It's not an organized storage yard. It's like somebody's personal storage yard or something. And then, like I said, right across the street, KG Walters, they are a construction company, and their ingress and egress is off that slot there that's green too. So that's one of the ones I wanted to get some input from you guys, your thoughts on it. Is typically like those yellow areas, that's where we go in and come out of the substation. So they have relatively large equipment. Typically we'll have gravel inside the substation, but we run gravel on our driveways also. So a lot of times what you'll use for a best management practice is use gravel. So you're not tracking out and going onto the road with dirt. So the city said, well, would you guys mind paving those? And, I mean, we're willing to pave them, but we think that there's actually probably some benefit to having those be gravel. There was a discussion in the dark green there about paving a portion of that, maybe 100 feet up. They're going to get some comment from RTC. They're actually the ones that control Virginia Street there, and get some input from them on whether or not they'd like to see it paved. And that one probably makes a little bit more sense to me, just because you're starting and stopping, trying to get on a road like that. There's not a lot of traffic up in that west side right now, but eventually there will be some, and it's going rather fast. So you want to make sure people can get out and get out of the way, not have their tires slip on dirt and that type of stuff. So that was the thought behind that. So there's one of the areas that we'd like you guys to maybe provide a little bit of input on. The next one's an elevation drawing. So this is a picture. It's always hard to get these to scale, to show it on there, so you can't really see the scale. That's a decorative wall. We talked to and this is another one we have a question about is, we talked to the city about it. They said, well, we'd like a decorative wall facing Virginia Street. So this is a split face wall. I think they put like a ribbon of smooth face with a contrasting color in there to kind of break it up a little bit. And we were thinking that when you go down Virginia Street, either direction, you're going to have that view shed where you're going to see the side of it. So they're saying we put chain link with slats in it. And our feeling is, I mean, I know that there's cost there, but we think it's better if you put the block wall around the whole thing, just because of the visual aspect of it. I think that's it that I have on that one. If you could move to the next one, that would be great. So this is an example of a substation, just because I didn't have an example of what this substation has. But if you look at that, to the very far right side, you see a wood pole. To the left of that, that's called a portal structure. So we're going to have a portal structure at ours. The average height of a bus, which is the lower stuff that runs across the whole site, is about 22 feet at this site. And that portal structure, those come in from the transmission lines. The transmission lines that run down Virginia Street, they're a 70-foot pole, but we bury 9 feet of it. So it's 61 feet above the ground level. So the wire that'll come off of that and go into the substation, I would anticipate this can be a shorter pole that's going uphill a little bit. But, I don't design this stuff. So I would tell you, it could be as high as 90 feet to get up high enough to be able to drop down in. But so we'll have a portal structure like that. That portal structure is 45 feet. Then you see those little thin masts on the top of that. Those are lightning arresters. So if the lightning comes into the substation, it grabs it there and it grounds it so it doesn't knock the substation out. So with those all told, you got 45 and 50. You got about 60 feet in height. So I can't imagine why you need a 90-foot pole, but that's what somebody mentioned to me. I think it'd be 85 or 90 feet. I think they're going to be closer to the power poles on Virginia Street. So anyway, the highest structure will be those structures outside of the poles coming in, the getaways going out. So the next side, some of the concern, we don't have any water at this site. And so typically when you don't have water at a site, you don't do any landscaping, use native landscaping, use native seed mixes, spread them out there. And over the course of a few years, you get some vegetation. We're going to try to do the least amount of disturbance to the soil that we can, because the native plants that are there today, they help a lot with soil erosion. But this is kind of a little bit of a departure away from what we would typically do. And these are like the structures that you see on the side of like NDOT. You'll see like goats, or you'll see a sheep herder, or you'll see, I think it's kind of weird, the one down in Carson City where they have a deer right by the highway. It scares me every time I drive. I think someone's jumping on the highway. So we don't want to get anything close to the road, but this was just a sampling of, there's some cactus, there's some different types of plants. So we want to get some input from you guys. If there was something, like I said, that's, kind of the history of the area that we could do out there, if it's some kind of scape, or whatever it is. I mean, we'd be open to that. We'd just like some input on what you guys think of this, or if you have some ideas of what we could do out there that fits the area better. There is no, I know you guys talked about traffic. We don't have any traffic. During construction, you're going to have traffic, but we won't have any traffic. We usually will visit a site like this, a substation, about once a month, just routine maintenance to go out and check on it, check on weeds, that type of stuff. We don't have a lot of fire calls. We don't have a lot of police calls. We don't have a lot of services to speak of in general. So there's not a lot of impact from these as far as the services or competition for services in the community. Can we go to the next one? So this is some of the stuff that I just pulled down. The stuff on the top there is kind of the native soils, there's native that's out there now. You'll see some sagebrush or different types of, maybe grease tree or something like that that's native in Nevada. A couple on the left are actually some substation walls that we've done down in Vegas. And I hate to use that word up here. It's even more embarrassing. My daughter, the UNLV graduate. The game's coming, though. They're coming up here to play basketball, so we'll get them. Anyway, so this is, I apologize, I digress. So those subs are just an example of kind of the wall. This is similar probably to the type of wall that we're talking about building out there. You can see that goat is one of those ones that it was off of NDOT's. There's cactus, the plant, I don't know what kind of plant that is, some kind of aloe vera plant or something on steroids. It's huge. So anyway, they have quite a few of those different designs. And actually, if you get off the freeway heading northbound 395, like if you're going to go on Plum Lane, on the left-hand side, they have a couple like 3 or 4 trees there. I mean, out in Carson, they have those birch ones, but they're kind of weird because they're like cut off, so they're only like 15 feet tall and they're like 4 or 5 white ones. So I thought that was kind of out of place, but anyway, we'd like your guys' input on that. Can we do the next one? And so this gives you an idea again of the project location. That's Virginia Street. You see the water tank there? We're in between that water tank and over the right-hand side, you can see kind of like the dirt that appears to be graded. We're in between those two. We're at the spot right there, the spot where it says project site, actually. Okay, can we go to the next one? Okay, so this was just to give you a little bit of an idea, again, why we're doing it. When I'm telling you we're running out of power, what we're running out of power to provide is the people that we currently have. And my daughter, I just got done doing some work at her house. I put a microwave in and didn't have that. She's over off of Wells Avenue and Holcomb. No, 1924 house, right? So it didn't have a microwave, didn't have a garbage disposal, didn't have a dishwasher, didn't have a fridge with an ice maker. None of that stuff was anticipated back then. And now you got people hooking their cars up to the system and charging their car. I mean, we just didn't anticipate the load growth that you're getting. And so we track this stuff. And so we try to anticipate when that load growth is going to exceed our capacity to serve. And then we try to plan something to put. So that's what it causes. So if you look at those sites down at the bottom right-hand side, you see a little bit of dirt turned down there. Maybe up a little bit more. There's some more dirt along Virginia Street. But I mean, that was June 2011. 10 years later is the next slide. I think somebody mentioned warehouses. So that's what's there. And then look at all the dirt. This is 2021. There's a bunch more out there too. And so all the dirt that's turned, I mean, you see some stuff on the north side of the freeway also. So there's a lot of stuff that's happened out in the area, not to mention, any kind of residential development but this is, this will serve all the businesses that you have out here as residences to give you more reliability, schools, churches, hospitals. Is that hospital out here? Not yet. Not yet. I apologize. Let's strike that. Okay, can we go to the next one? So this is just an overview of the area because I think it's a flat here. And that's it for me. I don't have anything else. I'm happy to answer any questions. If we can answer questions, ask questions about this, then if you want to beat me up on rates and other stuff, I'm happy to try and answer anything. That's not really my area of expertise, but I've been around 20 years at power company. So it doesn't take much for me to get out of my skis, but I can answer whatever I can. And if I can't, I can get you the answer. I do know some people over there.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, I will tell you, that cannon being red, that's just bad. That's just bad. So we need to change that. But anyway, thank you for the presentation. Okay, Dias, John.
Yeah, John White. How long is this substation supposed to be good for until you need another one? Because I remember back when they were working on the Valley Road one, I was on the boards then, and they were discussing that issue. So this one's supposed to last how long?
This one, when we fired up, which we're trying to get it in service this spring before the summer 2024, it'll be at 60% capacity. But we'll have unloaded some of the capacity from the other substations too, so it spreads it out a little bit. And you know what? It depends on what gets approved. I mean, we chase growth, we don't create it. So we go after, like we're running out of power in these other 2 substations that serve this area, so we're trying to serve that. But the approved but unbuilt units, I mean, we did an area optimization plan and we looked at the whole area. It depends on how much people build, really, and how much you're hooking up to it. I don't know off the top of my head, but I would say you're creating, it could probably be 15 years. It just depends what happens. I know there's a bunch of, I don't want to talk about other people's growth projects, but I know that they did a bunch of housing stuff, right? Like Maddox or something, the guy's name was over like by the border town, or we have a border town sub. It's like 6,000 homes or something. Well, I'm sure you guys are aware of it, right? You drive on the freeway. So it's just a lot of development. So it just depends on how fast that happens. I mean, interest rates have gone up. So development's slowing down. It's not as economical anymore. So the stuff doesn't pencil, it slows down. I mean, we went through, I think it was what, 2010, 11, 12, 13, 15. I mean, all those years, you didn't see a whole bunch of growth because people just weren't investing. So it just depends. I mean, we had plans to build stuff and then we sized it all down because so it just depends what happens.
Between the federal and the state, they're forcing us to go into electric vehicles. They're gonna be taking away the natural gas for our heaters and our furnaces. And it'll be all electric. That's somehow the future. And that's very, very close. And it's gonna happen real soon. And I don't know if you guys are gonna be ready for it, but we're not gonna like it.
Well, you know what, we're forced, that was one of the things that people talk about rates, the PUCN makes the rules on rates. We don't decide that, right? They're the ones that decide that stuff. So the same thing, how much power that we're gonna use for renewable, we have a ton of renewable resources. We're doing this BES stuff, I don't know if you've heard of it. It's battery energy storage systems, doing those all over the place. So, and they're trying to charge those things up in off peak hours to kind of keep the cost down. There's a lot of stuff that we're doing that we don't really control that. We're kind of doing what we're told.
One in Australia caught fire before they got it completed. Did you see that a couple
I
of
know
years
one in
ago?
Story County caught fire.
Yeah.
It's a lot closer to Australia.
That isn't a firm or a fully competent, qualified source. Those things aren't completed yet. They have a
Okay,
lot of work to
John.
do.
I've got other people, so Jared.
Thank you. Jared Souther for the record. In the earlier slide, you shared that the Valley Road down the south end of town, that's basically the line comes up to us here. Can you just take a moment to explain where does the power generate out? Like we're using
Tracy Power
Tracy
Plant.
Power Plant, yeah.
Natural gas.
We have a couple,
I'm sorry, Tracy, California?
no, Tracy can. Before you get to Karen, before you get to Rayburn, out there,
Thank you.
on the east side of town.
Okay, thank you. So we will tie off Valley Road, comes up to us. If there was an outage or something on the existing 141, is there an alternative source to maintain power in the North Valleys? That's my question.
Yeah, that's called the N1 contingency, and we're required to plan for N1 contingency. So if something gets knocked out, we have another way to serve you. We always like two ways to be able to serve somebody. And so we have plans. I mean, we have in the system, there are contingencies that can't be met.
Right.
And so we're always planning to fix those. And it's a function of being able to have the ability to do that, being approved, It's hard to spend everything you want to spend. I mean, I don't know if, I'm sure you guys are aware, Warren Buffett owns the company.
Yes.
That's the guy that's looking to invest money, believe it or not. So we've never been in that situation. When I first started the company, we didn't have unlimited money. Now you do, but now we're being bridled, or held back because the rates would go through the roof if you could spend a ton of money. So, yeah, we try to anticipate that stuff. We just got done doing some new distribution plans, which are they're called area optimization plans, where we have a lookout for 10 years. It's internal, just the same as this. We don't really like to put these out there in the public because of security reasons, putting all our power lines out there. But the same thing with our optimization plans. One of the challenges is that we say, hey, well, we don't know where the site's going to be. Just like even we didn't know where that site was going to be. There's a handful, actually better, I think a dozen sites that we looked at originally. And so you never know where it's going to end up. But there's a problem when I identify something on a map. Even if I'm not going to put it on your property, if I put it right over top of it, right next to you, and there's a power line that goes adjacent to you, there's a thing called pre-condemnation damages where we can be sued. You saying it's affecting you were going to sell your house, but now they don't want to live next to a substation. Well, we don't even know it's going to go. So we're just trying to say, hey, where would these things have to go if we're going to serve all these people, all these businesses? So that's what we do. So we put those plans in place so we can serve. And like you say, you don't know where it's going to end up at the time. It depends on the market. I mean, we've tried strategic buying and picking up lots out in the areas where we think things are going to go, and it doesn't go where you think it's going to go. So it's really challenging.
But there would be a second
Yes.
line to help. Thank you.
Well, that would have been a quicker answer, huh? Yes, there is.
Okay, anybody else on the dais have any other questions? Seeing none, I will open it to the public. Okay, hold on, your, yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Clea Willis. First of all, I don't quite understand what the substation is going to do. So Tracy comes to Valley Road right now and shoots all this electricity out there. But this is going to step down or just make a way for more electricity to get out to these areas.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, when you think about it, like if you have an SUV, you can get 9 people in it. Well, you guys have 15 people by 2024, so we need to get in their car. And that's what this will do. It's adding capacity to the system and unloading.
Does it still have to go through Valley to get to here?
Well-
In the new version, it's still be coming through Valley or will be somehow getting straight?
It does, but the distribution doesn't, transmission does. So you're gonna have a transmission right out here instead of lines going in distribution, feeders.
Okay, so my main question is about security of this facility based on all the sabotage that we've been hearing about. This is kind of a lot of target shooters in our world, and I'm wondering how you're going to protect it from anybody anywhere within range of however all the sabotage happens.
Yeah, and we have a concern about that also. I mean, that's one of the discussions that we had about chain link fence and the height of the wall also. I mean, I think we asked for a 10-foot wall, which our standard is usually a 6.5 or 7 foot. So we moved to 8 feet and then now I mean, I have some that I'm doing, they're 15 feet. And the reason is because they're critical substations where if you knock that out, you knock out hospitals. You know, we have what we call Green Cross members that they need medical equipment and it needs to run. And so if you lose that power to them, it's a life or death situation for them. So we can't, as an example, lose power to the hospital. We can't lose power. Some of those people are at home, you know, getting treatment also. So we do what we can. I mean, we've hired a whole bunch of people to analyze it. And, you know, throughout the nation, that's been a topic. I mean, we belong to a couple of associations that study this. And so we're putting all the best practices in place. Like I said, this is I believe it's a 10-foot masonry wall. But that was one of the items that we thought about also is, and really, I think the upside of the hills where you have an angle, right?
That's what I'm talking
That would be the
about.
worst scenario. So, hey, we'll build bigger walls up to one.
I think it's very concerning because this is an open territory right now and there isn't going to be much built between anybody on the hills and this facility. And, you know, we don't have normal people out there anymore. So I think you're thinking old school in terms of this old school sabotage. And I'm thinking much worse than what the types of things we see these days.
Well, actually, you know what? We have security systems in place. I mean, we get phishing attacks all the time. We get people hacking the systems and taking control of your generator plant, turning off the meters that control the temperature and then run the thing up and blow them up. So this is old school when you're talking about shooting something. I mean, there's a lot of other stuff going on out there, but we have 600 substations throughout the great state of Nevada, and we do what we can. I mean, there are a lot more rural substations. We got Smith Valley, I mean, Ely, Elko, I mean, we're all over the whole state. And so we put a power line in that runs from northern Nevada all the way to Las Vegas with a hub down in Ely. And hey, people shoot stuff out. I mean, that's the nature of Nevada. I mean, everybody's got a gun. If they
Okay.
have one, it's shocking.
All right, well, thank you very much, Mr. Gary. I will allow it, but go ahead.
Gary Overholt, Ward 4 for the record. I'm in favor of it. I think Silver Lake is over. It's over. I mean, I've had brownouts because Silver Lake is melting down. That's the only one that's out here. I mean, I believe, and he can correct me if I'm wrong, the border town stuff is tied into the Alpharetta line. The 141 coming out of Valley Road is feed Silver Lake. Am I correct?
The 141?
Yeah, the blue line, the blue transmission line. Okay, so we're tying into the 141, and you said this will help the existing customers?
Absolutely, give you more
Okay.
reliability, yeah.
Okay.
It's more
And so
diversified
I
path, right?
granted, and I can tell you with all the warehouses going in right now, they are power suckers. They are taking things away. You get home at 5 o'clock in the afternoon and you're hitting brownouts. It's just for a second because they're switching around, trying to get everything out here. But all we have is the Silver Lake subs. Doing all work for it right now. So please consider it. Also, I don't see the 10-foot wall being that much of a. Why do we need, a 10-foot wall and a chain link fence keeping people out? And really, do we need another whale like we have in downtown Reno out there for the goddamn, excuse me? I don't think I need a metal sheep out there to remind me that we got a substation going in on the fire road going up from Stead. But thank you for your.
That's what we're looking for,
I don't see it. I mean, you put some trees out there or you do anything, it's gonna quiet. All it's gonna do is hum. That's all it's gonna do. The transformers are gonna hum. Okay, it's not gonna be trucks. It's not gonna be anything else. It's gonna be beneficial to this board. Thank you very much.
Okay, all right, folks, I'm actually gonna cut it off because I have a couple more things on my agenda that I need to get done with. So hold on, please. So if it's directed to this gentleman, you can
It is.
talk to him afterwards, but I'm sorry for lack of time, I have to move forward. So,
I'm happy to talk to you.
okay, so with that, I'm going to move to B14. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Great job.
That was great.
And 60. It's always.
Good evening, I'm Kate Whitler with Odyssey Engineering. I'm here to present the Vanderborn Football Soccer Complex. This is located up on Park Boulevard, it's right along 395 on the southwest corner of Park and 395. I'm going to go really quickly through a kind of a technical summary, but before I get into that, I want to just give you a quick background on what we're trying to achieve here with this complex. It's a private soccer club. It's intended to fill a huge void in our community, and that's access to good quality fields for our youth who enjoy playing soccer. And it provides an opportunity for them to move up beyond just maybe the pee-wee soccer or high school level that we're used to seeing kids play. So the idea here is to create a really professional level complex that'll fill a shortage of fields that we have available for our kids. And we happen to be on the very south end of Ward 4, but we are still technically part of it, just on the south side of Parkville. But what you see here, and there's a pretty rendering, is I just warn you, this isn't site specific. This was more of a marketing image that was created. We'll get into the site specifics here in a minute, but this gives you the idea of what we're looking to accomplish with a clubhouse, some amenities, and 3 soccer fields. So the next slide. On the left, there's a vicinity map with the site in yellow there, right adjacent to 395 on the west side. We're just south of the jail there on Park Boulevard. On the right side, you're going to see the zoning map. These are the designations of the current zoning around the facility with the purple in the middle with the cross hatching. We're in a mixed employment zone. You'll see that we're surrounded by the red hatched areas as mixed use suburban zoning. This parcel would change to mixed employment a couple of years ago with a separate project that never came to fruition. And that was changed to bring it up to conformance with the current master plan. So that's why it's a little different than the surrounding zones. It's already been brought up to snuff with the master plan.
We've got some multifamily zoning on the south and some industrial.
Sorry.
Thanks. That industrial parcel there on the south is actually owned by NV Energy. It's part of their distribution system that the gentleman was just discussing. So that kind of gives you a little context of where the power is coming from, and then we'll touch on that here in a minute. Next slide. This is an overlay of a relatively recent aerial photo. North here is switched on you, so it's kind of to the right. This is an overlay of our site, just demonstrating that the site's currently undeveloped. You can see on the north side, there's a couple commercial properties that already been developed. There's a little bit of grading that took place previously with another development. But for the most part, it's an undeveloped property, and you see the freeway there on the bottom of the page is actually the east side of the property. Next slide. This is a landscape rendering of what the site will look like. The site would take access off of Park Boulevard through the Benny Lane loop. You can see the existing commercial development on the north. And then we would access off a cul-de-sac type approach. The three fields are pretty apparent there. The middle field would be a main field that we put a stadium type bleacher system around. The brown hatch you see on the right side of the middle field would be a clubhouse facility. And then some amenities dotted throughout the site, especially on the south, is the futsal, which is a smaller soccer court and a pool. And then you'll see a fairly large parking lot. The intent there is this facility on a day-to-day basis typically operates like, you know, a normal community park would. Kids are coming to practice and they're leaving relatively small numbers. But we want to be able to set up for professional level type events or special events. And so that's why you're seeing a significant amount of parking. We have conducted a traffic study accordingly based on a large event. The nice thing about this facility is that it typically operates off peak hours, off traffic peak hours. So access to and from, whether it's a weekend or later evening, doesn't typically conflict with the main traffic flows that people experience. Next slide. So our request with this project is a couple things. Primarily, the request is for a sports arena or stadium and mixed employment zoning district. There isn't really a real clear definition on what becomes an arena or a stadium. There were some other uses in the mixed employment that we thought fit well with what we're doing here with as being a private club type facility. But after some discussions, we agreed with staff that we'll make sure we do the conditional use permit request for an arena stadium type use in this zoning. The site has a fair amount of relief across it, and as such, in order to grade the site to accommodate development, we're going to create cuts over 20 feet, fills over 10 feet. That's another conditional use permit request. And the colors you see on this display on the right there is what we call a slope map. When we're doing a hillside analysis, we do trigger the request for a hillside development. I think the key factor here is that there's a calculation based on your slope ranges. We're required to have just over 16 acres of open space or restored area, and we're creating 22 acres of amenity, open space, landscaped area. So that's kind of the critical hillside calculation. The development parcels just shy of 30 acres. And we've got it split up into the various uses there. It will be AstroTurf, so this site will be, other than the landscape requirements, it's very low water use. As far as storm drain and infrastructure is concerned, the site does drain back into the Truckee River Basin, so I know that in the North Valleys, runoff and drainage is very sensitive, but this does not drain into one of the closed basins. It does drain back. We will still have mitigation on site to prevent an increase in runoff caused by urbanization. But that'll be handled, say, next slide. This is just the generic site plan. It gives you an idea of how it fits in the site. Again, on the east side or the right-hand side of the main field in the middle will be a clubhouse facility. This will be phased construction. You know, the rush is to get these fields up and running for the kids to be able to use them immediately. And full build out ideally would be up to 5,000 seats and a professional level type complex where you could host, you know, real competitive tournaments and draw people from out of town to participate in that sort of thing. Next slide. So part of our cuts and fills trigger for a conditional use permit, anything over 20 feet of cut, which you see in red, and anything over 10 feet of fill, you'll see in green. So we're incorporating a few techniques here to try and step into the hill best we can. Obviously, soccer fields are big and flat, so it takes some grading to accommodate this type of facility on this site. We'll use a wall system, tiered wall system with landscaping along the freeway. We'll break our parking lot with a vertical step as well. And then the clubhouse will be built into the hill with parking underneath, and then club level amenities at the field level. And then the bleachers on the west side would be stepped into the hill as well to try and conform as best we can to natural topography. Next slide. These are some cross sections. The one on the top is from east to west, so the freeways on the right hand side. Gives you an idea of the scale of what that grading and parking area might look like. You can see there in the middle that the parking under the clubhouse building, second level at field level, and then a third level for spectators and other amenities in that complex. And then the bleachers on the left-hand side will be stepped into the hillside with some retaining walls and landscape slopes. The bottom is hard to see at this scale, but that's from north to south. It's pretty boring in that orientation. The main grading is from east to west on this side. So next slide, please. There's a few more renderings, just kind of give you an idea of the concept. Again, these are not project specific yet, but it just gives you a feel for what this complex is intended to be. The fields will be lighted. We are meeting the code requirements for field lighting. There is a provision that the lights have to be off by 10 or within 1 hour at the end of the last event. So we are right against the freeway. There is a fair amount of relief from this site to any adjacent development. So, and these lights are all, of course, designed to project directly down to minimize the spill. Excellent. This is an elevation of what the clubhouse may look like. The top one shows you the parking underneath on the bottom level, and then the step up to the second club level and field level. And then the middle image is what you would see if you're standing on the field looking back at the clubhouse. You can see two stories from there. The one on the bottom is just a section through the narrow part of the building. Shows you how we step up from the parking lot up to the field to help us make up some relief to blend into the hillside as we can. Slide. So this is just an overall picture just to get you oriented and maybe show you the scale.
how we're gonna fit into the surrounding neighborhood. For reference, that green dash line that you see around the area was originally the Park South Industrial Park. It started, it's been over 20 years now, pushing 30, which is how this area started development. The roadway backbone network was put in as part of that. Several of the parcels have been developed as industrial parcels. That building you see in the middle is the juvenile detention facility. And then you can see to the west, there's some apartments. And to this very southeast corner, there's a mobile home park down in that area. What you don't see on this picture is there's a great amount of vertical relief as well between the complex and the adjacent residential uses. Of course, we got the freeway and TMCC on the east side. We are in the process at the request of city staff conducting a sound study as well. Just to make sure that we're not exceeding any of the code limits on noise for a large event. But we'll say that the past experience in this immediate area with sound studies, typically the freeway drowns out just about anything that you're doing. So the background noise is pretty intense, so I feel like it's a pretty good fit. That's the technical details of the site in a nutshell. The developer is present as well. If you have any specific questions, he's very passionate about this facility, and I think that it's a pretty good opportunity for our community and our children to benefit.
All right. Thank you very much for your presentation. I'm going to ask the dais, John.
John White. So this is Sports Logic, you're a business then? And you're not associated with the youth soccer league or anything like that in particular, or?
You want to talk about how you're?
Well, my name is Mark Radau. I'm the developer. It's true. Can you try to clarify your questions so I can answer correctly?
Well, are you associated with any local soccer, youth soccer leagues?
Very much.
To help bring them in? And this is a business in particular, it's not like a community project or something. It's entirely funded through a business proposition.
Well, it's a great question. Am I one of many here that are longtime Nevada residents? I mean, how many, by show of hands, or consider yourself longtime Nevada people? So I've got 40 years of experience, excuse me, in Nevada. Went to high school here, went to college here. My wife also met her in college here. Our kids raised here. So the city of Reno, we've all watched the city of Reno Sparks, the surrounding areas grow astronomically. I listened to some of the passion in the room about what have they done for us, right? So one of the details that Dave was talking about that but he didn't mention it specifically was that there's not enough fields to play. So I have a waiting list. We have a club as young as 6-year-old kids that can't play because there's not enough fields to play on. I have 16-year-old kids that are quite talented and looking for an opportunity to grow. And we don't have enough fields for them to play on right now. As a matter of fact, right now, this time of the year, beautiful day outside today, but all the parks are closed and the kids have no place to go, okay? And juvenile detention center right next to us, well, make the wrong choice, go to juvenile detention. Make the right choice, come play some soccer. So the city didn't, in the community, the municipality, excuse me, hasn't responded to the needs. So I took it upon myself with some very close friends I have in the area and saying, we're going to do this for the city of Reno. So it is a business, and we did it without any outside public funds. So it cost nothing to the city or the community to do this. So that, hopefully that answers your question. So we are very much involved in the local youth level to do that.
WISO or something, is that what they usually, is the term for that? The WISO or something like that?
AYSO.
AY, yeah. I remember
Yes,
something.
as a matter of fact, we help the AYSO. We support our first team, which is the most talented young men and women. We have a girls team too. They donate their time as part of the community, but we call it club service aspect, where they go work with the moms and dads who aren't really that good at soccer coaches and sport coaches. So these are some of the most talented people in the country. I mean, what they do best is playing soccer, but that's what they're experts at, and they donate their time to the groups at AYSO. And there's AYSO is kind of the youngest level, and there are layers above that. There's Nevada Select, there's Great Basin Youth Soccer, and these are basically developmental to get, young
Is it the professional level field then? So.
Excellent question. So my wife is very mad at me. And anybody can feel the pain, please. Because my children became quite good. And what was interesting, and I wanted them to be ski racers because UNR has a great ski team here, and I thought they could do that. But their talent forced them to leave our community. And in order for them to thrive, so if you have a community of talented kids, and the very best among us, the kids that are kind of the role models, if you will, sports celebrities, and they have to leave, that exposes a vacuum, a void of what we need to do. So the purpose of this field, it will be internationally certified that it would be capable to host the highest level competition. And anybody who's watching some televised sports recently, they saw the Soccer World Cup. The American team actually did quite well, and soccer is growing in popularity. The actual field itself would be at the quality of that those level games to be played on this playing surface. Not that they would come, but you never know.
Yeah.
You never know.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on, guys. Now I want to ask you two, just a minute. Okay, I still have one agenda item. So how do we want, and we're about 5 minutes away. So how do you want to proceed?
Okay. The developer is here, so we should hear them out.
Okay,
because we want
so I
them to
mean,
hear.
I understand that. What I'm asking is, do I want to finish the comments here and then we'll just wrap the other project up? Okay,
Yeah, that works.
all right, Miss Megan.
Megan Ebert, Councilwoman, for the record. I have just a little concern about road access getting there. If we could just pull that up, just literally getting into the parking. Is there just one way coming in and out?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Again, with their honest engineering. Sorry, it's just easier. So this is Benny Lane that have multiple points of access to Park Boulevard. So you have the nice thing about this site is you have really direct access right to the freeway for regional purposes. So yeah, once you funnel down to the site, we have what we may call an oversized cul-de-sac, an extra wide point of access, and then there's looping through the internal site. Our secondary access for emergencies would come through an existing facility and tie in so that we're meeting the fire department's needs. And we've already had discussions with them about making sure they're happy with access.
Okay. Another question I had really quick was, is there a pool? Did I see that there's a pool?
Yeah, pool would be part of the amenity package that would be.
That's great.
That's really nice.
We have a lot of really bad weather here, you may have noticed. Would it be possible to have the pool covered? I don't know if that's part of the plan now, but just because of the weather, would that be possible? We'd have greater utilization, in the winter months if we could have, coverage on that.
You want me to speak to that?
Yeah, if you don't mind. I
So,
don't want to volunteer anything.
You know what, that is great input. And you know how they used to put the big bubbles over like tennis courts and stuff like that? So they can take them off during the summertime and benefit from that way. So the idea was to utilize those sort of temporary structures over the futsal court and the pool. Whether one would cover both or do two, that is sort of the one of the ideas that we talked about. I don't know if we would do that immediately, but it could be within, this, kind of a phased approach. While I do appreciate that, Reno has some unpredictable weather, we have much better weather than most places.
Yeah,
Okay, so the emphasis was an outdoor facility.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's Toronto Football Club, has much worse weather than we do.
Yeah.
Our coldest day is warmer, is their warmest day. Right?
yeah,
So, so the emphasis was to keep it an outdoor facility, but still be able to have utilization throughout the year, 12 months. Because right now, there's no
yeah.
place
Yeah.
to play, right?
That would be my only, I think that this is really great, and this is absolutely something we need. But we're also in desperate need of activities for our youth in the winter, because we have a lot of kids that need something to do, and I don't know if you're on Nextdoor at all, but if you were able to look at that in this area, we have a lot of kids going out and vandalizing, committing crimes, things like that, because they don't have activities like this to engage in. So I think this would be wonderful. But if we could have something like the pool enclosed so that they can use it year round, and a tent structure over, it's still gonna be windy and snowy. So I'm not sure how usable that would be, but just something that we could have like that. And in other areas in Reno, they have enclosed pools. So that would be my only kind of wish list item for
So-
this.
What are the directions that, so the pool, like you say, if you notice, it's kind of a distance, it's a
Yeah.
soccer field away from the clubhouse, and to fit it all in is difficult. But one of the things that I think you notice is the oversized parking lot. So I'd love to get your feedback and everybody's feedback on how, because in the wintertime, you're not gonna really have the soccer, that's an off-season
Yeah.
for soccer right now. How could we utilize a portion of the parking lot that allows us to create some facilities that's good access for the community to get to?
Yeah,
I'll give you an example. I was just in St. Louis, and these people build, it is an whole industry around a Halloween haunt. Okay,
Mhm.
they build these, but Halloween isn't just October 31st.
yeah,
They started in September, right after, they started literally right after Labor Day, right? And then they transformed from that into Christmas, environments, right? I'm searching for I'm trying to solve the problem that you're talking about, right?
yeah,
And I'm looking for the right mix of what we could potentially do. There's way more kids that need help than a little pool is gonna provide.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
see what I'm saying?
yeah,
So we need to do, so the beautiful thing about this site is that we can help a lot of people and moms and dads too. At the clubhouse idea, your kids can go out and play soccer, but you can, rather than sitting in your car waiting for your kid to be done, you can actually be a human being and sit in a cafe, right?
Okay. Hold on. With respect to my time, I'm sorry, folks, I've got to cut it short because I've got another agenda item I've got to get to, so I apologize. But I'm gonna hold it off right now, and so we can get this last item taken care of. Ms. Megan, I apologize, but that's what I've got to do. Okay, so thank you, sir. Okay, my last item, and of course, correct me if I'm wrong, but is B15.
Correct.
Okay.
He is online. Give me 1 second. Hi, David. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Give me 1 second, and then I'm gonna pull up your presentation.
is being recorded.
And real quick to my dais, I apologize, folks. I just ran out of time, so I apologize. It is what it is, but I do apologize.
Online forms.
Yes.
All right, David, whenever you're ready.
Sure. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to review this, my presentation here. We did have this, I was in person a little over a year ago with my team. We presented to the board there. We're back again. We had made a minor revision to the tentative map. Generally, the project is the same. The biggest change we had is going from 165 units to 184 units. A brief breakdown of what our project is for the people who didn't attend last year, actually at the very end of 2021. We are, if you want to go forward a couple, one more. One more would probably even be better. So this is what we're here. We sell. Storage is the use S1. We're building 184 units. We condo these out and we sell them. This is over an 8-acre site, and it's unique that there's not a lot of companies doing exactly that. A lot of mini storage out there. We did have to get a conditional use permit for this, and alternative equivalent. Those have both been approved over a year ago. So we're back here. Lux Locker is in 5 different states. We have about another 10 in development in some new states. We're also in Henderson, Nevada, and we have one coming up in Mesquite, Nevada as well too. And we built one about 3 years ago in Sparks as well too. So this is our second in the area. It was very successful, our first project, so we're here for a second project. These are roughly, on average, 15 feet wide, 15 feet high, and about 50 feet deep. We call it luxury RV and boat storage, but it's really any type of storage that's allowed in that use. No hazardous material. No one's allowed to live there. Our CC&Rs are very strict on that. No one's allowed to operate a business out of there either. It's for people to own them and store their whatever they want to store into that's allowed. You want to go to the next slide? One more. This is our site up here on the corner of North Virginia and Panther, just north of the Mavericks there. You want to keep going? A little bit of a zoom in right there. It's 4 lots that we're consolidating into one lot. We're in the process of consolidating those lots now during our condo plat. That's actually one of the things that raised the flag. I had to come back here and for an amendment to the tentative map. If you want to go to the site plan, that's probably the best one to walk through everything. There we go. So this really hasn't changed a whole lot. Like I said, building A was revised slightly in direction, and we were able to squeeze out a few more units by making a few larger ones smaller and expanding C just slightly. Our square footage went from about 115,000 square feet to a total of 119,000 square feet, so a little over 3%. And like I said, going from 165 units to 184 units. Point of entry, we still have 2. That has not changed. Utilities hasn't really changed much. Our demand, our sewer and water demand hasn't changed much. Our grading is basically the same as well too. So I'm just back here to represent to everyone, to answer any questions anyone may have about the product or why potentially we made these changes that were previously approved by the city, or just anything else. If you want to keep going on, you can kind of see these are renderings. If you want to slowly go through the next images of what it's going to look like of our site. We also have some pictures towards the back end of some completed projects to give you an idea of, what we've done in the past. We don't have a prototype like a McDonald's or a Taco Bell. It's all site adapt, so they look very similar, but each one of our sites is its own design. This one's in Havasu, where it all started. That's where we're based out of. I'm out of Austin, but the corporate which is not that big, is only about 12 of us, is based out of Havasu. So if we want to go back to the site plan, I'm here to answer any questions that people may have.
Okay, thank you, David. First of all, for the record, Corey Bond. David, I'm very happy to see you because as I told you before, when you presented to us, I live in this area and I'm always watching to see what's going on. So I'm glad to see you and glad to hear that it's still in the process. So thank you for coming back. First of all, to my dais, anybody have any questions? Victoria?
My only question is the entrance on the south, right by Maverick, right there.
Yes.
So, just a comment would be to, if any landscaping or trees or anything that are being put in on that corner that is right between the Mavericks exit and your entrance. Not to put anything that's gonna grow too big to where you can't see around that corner, because right now it's already hard to see around that corner.
Very much
Sure.
so.
So just anticipate growth in your landscaping so that it's not something that you're constantly having to come out here and trim, and that we can still see when we're coming out of that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. We don't have that kind of landscaping down there. It's all small shrubs.
Good to know.
Jared?
Jared Souther for the record. Last time I shared my concern that there would not be a turn lane in the middle. And I'll reiterate that with increased growth in that area, that to allow for through traffic to not be impeded by trailers waiting to turn in. I know you said that small amount of traffic count in and out on a regular basis, but I still feel that RTC or yourself should invest in that improvement in that intersection.
So what things that haven't changed is and we do have we're bringing on for our civil permit a traffic engineer to study that exact intersection. John Brusco is making that a requirement. And when you the only tricky part, so if you're coming and south is to the right, so this is not north, is not up on this plan. So if you're coming from North Virginia, you will have to turn and you may have to wait. That is correct. But if once you go in, there's nothing stopping. You can see there's quite a long drive until you hit the access gates as well too. So we won't have, you won't be queuing or waiting if there's some type of a gate not opening or you're having issues with the card access reader, because this is all private. People will only owners can come in here. Only owners can use the wash bay, the RV dump as well too. And there's a long driveway for that queue. And like I said, we're in the process of engaging the traffic engineer now, and whatever they recommend will be required to implement.
Anybody else on the dais? No? Okay, I'm gonna open it for public comment. Anybody? Seeing none. Thank you very much, David. And as I said, I'm glad to see you back and see that you're still moving forward, because I think it's a great project. And as my colleague said, because I live right there, I know the issues. So as long as you're addressing them, then I think we're really good. So thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you very much, all.
Okay. My last couple things, Board and Commission, any reports or announcements for next month? Jared?
Folks, Jared Souther for the record. Last night, Planning Commission had a presentation from NDOT and RTC about the 395 North Valley's improvement. It's moving forward. You can visit the Nevada Department of Transportation website and see what is going to take place and speak to it. There's a virtual presentation that's available through, I think, March 15th. So dot.nv.gov, or there's another website, but I would say that would be very important for us to all speak towards what they're doing and how we would like to see it move forward. It's going to start at North McCarran, go to Golden Valley, and that starts this summer and can be completed sometime in 2025. On the map, it's not showing a bridge improvement or interchange improvement to Golden Valley. Maybe I missed that. I wasn't able to attend the meeting last night at Planning Commission, but I hope they'll be here in the next month or so to present to us. That would be great. So thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Brian?
Brian Hart for the record, I'd like to see if the football complex Battleborn could come again. We got cut short. It's fascinating, idea you have there, and we just touched the surface. I had a long list of questions I'd like to revisit, so that would be
Okay.
my hope or recommendation.
Okay, then what I would ask is if we can make that a future agenda item, please.
Sure.
I would appreciate that. Okay, my last thing is public comment. Donna?
Really quick. I know everybody wants to go. I know that everybody in Ward 4 is interested in improving the amenities, the services and everything up here. One of the things that is going on right now in the city of Reno is that the council, thank you, Council Member Ebert, has put aside $1 million of ARPA money, the American Rescue Plan money, the recovery from COVID for seniors. There are ideas coming from the staff of the city on how to use that money, but we are asking the community members about how they would like to see some of that money spent. Some of the ideas involve food bank, better transportation, vouchers, or working with programs to allow our seniors to get around better in the area, to get places they want to go, classes on smartphones, technology, those kinds of things. If you have ideas, I have a form that we're collecting input from community members on what that money could be used for the seniors, whether you are a senior or whether you have a senior in your family, we'd love to have you participate in the process. The Senior Advisory Board is going to have a special meeting we're not even sure yet, in the next 2 weeks, open to the community to talk more about it. And we're collecting some written comments that we're putting into public comment on this thing. The other thing is that we've been working on this idea of livable communities, improving the community for all of us, improves it for the young folks as well as all of us who are getting older. And those are happening in the city of Reno, city of Sparks, and Washoe County, just using community input to come up with ideas to make that better and then to become advocates. And so I'm working with folks, teaching them about NABs. I chaired a NAB and Senior Advisory Board for years and years. And so I appreciate the time you all put in to be here to give the feedback to the government. But we've got an RTC meeting coming up on the 24th. Please come. I go and I hardly see anybody from the community. And I know transportation is a big issue. All these things are built up here and when we don't drive anymore, it's really hard to get anywhere. And then roads are too crowded. We all know that. So we've got RTC coming up. We've got these senior meetings and thanks for your time.
Thank you, Donna. Okay, real quick, future agenda items. Brian, you said yours. Anybody else have any?
Mr. Chair, can I speak on the future agenda item for Battleborn or for the Battleborn Football Complex? I do believe they go to planning 3:15 and our NAB isn't scheduled for the day after. So I can put you in contact with them if they're willing to answer your question and the community's questions.
Okay. Anybody else with future agenda items?
No. RTC here. Needed.
Yeah. Okay, RTC and dot.
Okay,
Okay. I can try, I just want to clarify that for the NAB, we bring city related items. RTC and NDOT unfortunately are not, but if they are willing, I can't force them to come here. I can extend the invitation.
right.
But I can definitely extend the
And
invitation.
that's what we're asking is
Correct.
to extend the invitation, I believe. Okay, my last thing is I'm looking for adjournment. Somebody give it to me. Okay, Jared, good. Everybody, we're out of here. Thank you, guys.
Sergeant of Arms.
Well, I mean,
I know they're in that.
I know.
They don't have the requirement to come to us, kind of like developers, but
Asking for an update. We're not asking to come and present. We want to know what they're doing.
okay.
So from a
Yeah, this update, but
I would present it that way. Tell them we want you to ask them.
Yeah.
Correct.
Out there with the NV Energy.
I
No, I considered going out there, but Mark is pretty rough and tumble. I figured he can handle them on their own. Thank you, by the way, for
Good.
clarifying, especially with master plan, that, no, that was exactly what your role is, and it's absolutely appropriate, because that's what I was about to charge up to the front, so, yeah. People see my head pop up in the back and
Yeah,
I
they call it a
tend to defend people. I understand there's frustration, but there's way.
It comes better from you guys, right? You know, like,
You're in the position.
you're in the position, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Stop and then pause or pause and stop and then yes, I stopped it.
You stopped it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.